Hello guys, how are we doing and welcome back to the channel. We're going to be focusing on the solo queue experience today and how you can be more influential in the benefit of your team when you are solo queuing. So the gameplay we're actually watching here is one of my own. I'm playing on grind early in the season. I'm Diamond 1 at the point of this gameplay. And it's all relatively fresh. The grind is relatively fresh, and I am solo queuing, more importantly. We go 37 to 13. We do a lot of good things for the team. And we win by a substantial margin. And we're going to be going through what role I play as a solo queuer for us to get that dub. Okay, so first things off here, one thing you want to be aware of is your teammates. That is the number one thing. So breaking off at P1, I've seen that a lot of my teammates have run to the left. And it's about understanding the spawns of the map as well. My teammates have run left, and I'm thinking, okay, left is covered now by my teammates. I need to make sure I've got this middle area covered. The likelihood of enemies going all the way around the right is probably slim, considering the P2 is over towards where they are currently spawning, so they probably want to keep those spawns for the new hill. So I'm thinking, okay, I just need to make sure my teammates don't get pinched. They can put as much pressure as they want on P1 and just flood P1 from the front. My job right now is to make sure they can't get pinched. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. And that has enabled me to get a couple of kills. My teammates can just hump on the time relatively freely. I'm looking for another kill because I saw another red dot on the minimap before. And now I'm pushing through those kills. Now I'm trying to get into the better spawn for P2. My teammates are continuing to spawn behind me, so it tells me that enemies are still spawning towards the front. But I'm being a player who is trying to get these good spawns. So my main focus now is to just try and get P2 spawns, enabling us to get decent amount of P2 time. So I'm getting those kills. Instead of jumping on the time there, just benefiting nobody by being on the objective with my teammates, I'm thinking about pushing through. Let me get to the new hill. Let me get to the new objective and get the spawns for the new objective. So that whole play there where I've watched the flank, got a couple kills, driven through the flank, cleared the area for the new spawn, and now I'm sat blocking the new spawn enables a really good start to this game. So I'm not sure if anyone had the same idea as me, so I'm sort of trying to play a little bit cruddy here. I'm trying to play a little bit cautiously because I'm aware that players might just do the same thing I've done. And now I'm just trying to play my life. I'm trying to make sure that my teammates have got good control. That's a really important thing to be doing when you're solo queuing, actually, is using the tac map. To get that kill, we situate ourselves on a heady, which we're relatively happy doing. Now, this is important. Using your tac map here is vital for solo queue success. I can see I've got teammates who have got pressure towards P1. I see you've got a teammate who's sort of looking through the middle lane. So that's 2 lanes covered. The only lane not covered is the left. So I'm thinking, okay, let me just pick up that left lane. Let me just try and make sure I've got that covered. And that's sort of what I'm doing here. So again, I'm looking at the tap map. I can see, okay, great. I've got teammates who still are coming P1. Teammate has just died here, but that tells me that the furthest person up in the middle is this red dot here. So I've got a little bit of time before I need to account for that guy. And realistically, out of the 3 lanes, where are my teammates likely to go next from this position? And again, it's understanding not only where the enemies are going to be coming from when you're solo queuing, but you need to know what your teammates are likely to do. So my best guess here is that they're going to go from P1 to P2. Sounds reasonable, in which case they'd have that middle lane covered. So in my head, watching this left lane is still the priority because I've got teammates who are close to this middle lane to watch it and are likely to go to that middle lane anyway, going into the P2 rotation. So I'm just sat back here trying to establish some sort of presence in the back. My teammates are continuing to spawn to the right, which tells me there's probably someone coming from their left, and we get a good kill that enables us to hold these spawns. Again, watching the flank, watching the space, my teammates aren't, enabling us to get a really, really easy hold. Now, throwing an A, throwing a stone, getting a trophy out to allow my teammates free entry to the front of the hill. But instead of just challenging the front of the hill, I've got no cover, I'm playing this little bit of a difficult position here and playing my life. And this sort of slow gameplay, yes, it's probably not entertaining to watch. It's probably not entertaining to play this way realistically. And I do go 37 to 13. But the lower engagements are why I'm getting these kills, why I'm getting these wins, and why we're establishing so much good control of the map is because I'm there taking time and saying, okay, yeah, you've got the busy routes. Let me just make sure there's one route not covered. Now, I wouldn't necessarily do this on the biggest maps possible because on red card at P4, you don't want to be all the way in the football field or the soccer pitch because it's way too far, but you want to be sensible. Grind's a smaller map. I can play the 3 lanes and grind, similar to Vault perhaps. Those sort of size maps you're happy doing. Now, because of the pressure we've put on around this left-hand side, well, towards this back side of the spawn, I'm deciding that it's a good idea to probably try and pinch the new objectives. That's what we're trying to do here. I think I do get caught off guard, unfortunately. Just didn't read them popping up, and I just got ripped by the Hammers at close range. But yeah, I missed. It is what it is. My teammates are continuing to get some kills. I'm decided to help out my teammates toward the middle here, allow them to get that kill, I believe. And because of how far my teammates are pushed up and no one's sort of blocking the P2 spawns this side, I'm thinking, okay, let me just check there's no one going to be pinching. You've got to be up. This is the thing. As a solo queue, you've got to be the one who's picking up those unpredictable things, being the player who is checking the back spot, who is checking the thing if no one else is. Obviously, if you've got a teammate doing it, you don't need to do it. And a lot of people in their solo queue, and I think the mistake they make is they want to be the one in the action. They want to be the one getting all the kills, getting all the hill time, and that's just strictly not what gets success in a solo queue and experience. So it continues to get some kills here, continues to play our life, sort of push towards the objective. I'm really trying to play my life here. As long as I'm up here, we're in a pretty good position because I'm overlooking the hill. I'm always in the mind of my team, of my enemies, and I've just noticed my teammates have spawned out. So what I'm going to do now is, after alleviating some pressure on the objective, just get this free kill. I'm now going to go back and make sure that anyone can't pinch me, because it would be a free kill for them. My teammates have covered that. I then, okay, let me progress back to P3. But the big important thing here is I'm not letting go of P4 spawns. P4 is a really vital hill to hold because it's so easy to hold. So I'm just making sure that they can't get round. And that's essentially what my job was doing there. Unfortunately, I do get cut off going from P3 to P4, which is a shame. Hey, it is what it is. So we actually spawn in a relatively ideal spot going into P4 because of probably where they were positioned in P3. And again, I've spawned in. My teammates got on the objective. I don't need to be on the objective. My teammates got the right-hand side and probably the middle. I don't need to watch the right-hand side of the middle. I'm picking up the left. I'm filling the gap. So again, I got a kill. I'm moving. I'm trying to get to a different heady. Managed to get a kill. And that's the thing. When it's okay dying there. You've just had, even if you just get one of the first kills, your teammates can then trade, and you're in a far better position. So again, from here, I've decided to pick up the cross. I've got the back of my teammate. And the way this sort of spawn works on P4, so again, to be an effective solo queuer, you sort of do need to know the spawns. Okay, that's probably the more tricky thing to learn. But it doesn't matter how good you are on the sticks. It's a mental thing. It's about learning the spawns and having that theory behind you. Now, there are 3 spawns sort of on this map. You've got middle lane, right lane, which is sort of where I am, and the left lane. And because we've got no pressure towards the left lane, but we have pressure sort of towards the middle with this player, sort of towards the right with me, I'm betting on them spawning on the left-hand side towards where P1 is, okay? And that's why I'm thinking, okay, this is a pretty good position to be in. We're watching the cross. Things are looking good. This guy was Soundhawk because he wasn't using Dead Silence for whatever reason. But he was very close to pinching my teammate. Now, we've just got 4 wiped. That enables me space to push up if I would like to. We've still got teammates on the spawn. And because there was the threat of this setup was someone pushing through the middle, I'm thinking, okay, let me have a little bit of intuition. Let me be smart about this. I'm going to now take a step forward. Anyone who's pushing through the middle lane like they did before, they've now got to deal with me before they even get anywhere near my teammates. And that enables me to get 2 relatively free kills. So again, it's about learning through the game, filling the gaps, being intuitive, and continuing to be a really good teammate. Now, because of how long is left at P4 and P1's about to pop, I'm thinking, okay, 8 seconds. They're probably thinking we've got a setup still here. They're probably thinking we're going to bash them in. So I'm thinking about taking a really long route. And at the moment, I'm 19-3. So I'm doing all right. 6 KD at that point, but obviously it goes downhill when I only managed to get 3. But I'm trying to get the P2 spawns already. I'm thinking if I can just establish the P2 spawns early on, it saves us having to fight for that going into the new hill. Now, I've just seen my teammates spawned in middle. I've just got the spawns by getting that kill. There's no one blocking that back spawn, and my teammates are likely to spawn on me as a result. They do. Enable me. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, that player who spawned in and the other 2 players who spawned in are likely to just put pressure towards the front of the objective. They're just going to hit P1 from this side, meaning that I'm going to try and pinch, cover this middle lane, and enable my teammates to hopefully push from the front with ease, hoping to. So pinch around this front side, get through, get a kill, and now I'm playing really annoying COD. Teammates continue to spawn that way, so I'm happy that they're going to get the P1. They're happy to get the lanes, but because of how far pushed up I am, and even though I've got teammates who are still spawning back there, I'm very much conscious that we have no one sort of watching P2. There was no one. It's a bit quiet. There's not many people who are around P1 itself there. I'm thinking, okay, where could people be? I was middle lane. I know they're not there. I was P1. I got a kill. There's maybe another player there. They're not there. where could they be? So I'm imagining they're flanking all around to get the better spawn. So that's what I try and do here. I do get caught off guard. It's a slight misread in timing. But I'm hoping you can see what we're trying to do there. So my teammates called a Hellstorm missile in. I'm trying to just play my life. I'm thinking, you know, if I can just get away from the hill, play my life. Unfortunately, I do get picked off. But I'm hoping you're starting to see a pattern in everything I'm doing here. I'm trying to be the one that rotates, be the one that tries to cut off the flank, just fill in the gaps really effectively and really trying to be a good teammate is all you want to do really as a solo queuer. So go around the flank, manage to get through P2 with ease. My teammates are continuing to be on the objective, so I don't need to join them. I don't need to be there. My job is to make sure that these players don't spawn in towards the new objective. So we rotate to P2, similar to what we did at the beginning.
Hardpoint located.
Try and support my teammate through middle. Okay, I'm like, okay, fine. I see my teammates in middle. Still got a teammate on P1, so I know they can't get through the right because that's one whole lane covered. I'm thinking, okay, my teammate here is going to pick up the window, so I don't need to be watching that anymore. So I'm thinking, okay, where do I need to hold? I've got a teammate who's in the back, so they can watch the left. I'm going to then watch the alley, so that's why I go to watch the alley. Misread when my teammate is watching, and I'm thinking, okay, great. Now I've got to watch the back. So again, it is not easy to be a solo queuer trying to read what your teammate's doing because they don't necessarily do things predictably. And you can see that teammate probably should have gone back and held the spawn and watched the full left flank instead of joining me. But that's why it's not all just on your team. You need to be the one that fills out. It's frustrating. Yeah, great. He probably should have watched the back. It should have been his job. But you can't have that spectator syndrome where you go, let's lead them to if he cocks up, he cocks up. You need to make sure that you're swapping out if that's not what they're doing effectively. So I can see my teammates have got everything covered. Teammate had P1, teammate had front, teammate then picked up alley with me for some reason. So my thinking is that the left-hand side was open, and I believe it was. That's how I think that player managed to get through, unfortunately. So it doesn't always pay off. Solo queuing is difficult because of that exact thing, but it is what it is. So breaking hill from this side is a little bit tricky. We do lose those spawns because of that one player staying alive in the back. I try and do as much as I can to put the pressure on. And I think so far in this video I've said, okay, you want to make sure all lanes are covered. So in your head, you're probably thinking, okay, why are you then pushing this left-hand side where you have a teammate? And the reason for that is because this teammate has made already so much progress towards the better spawn of the hill. I'm just going to follow them up. My job here is to make sure we have someone alive in the back. And I'm thinking this player's just got a kill. They're shooting. They're going to have to be drawing a lot of attention. I need to be there to trade them out, okay? So instead of just trying to take a different lane towards P2, I'm already here. Let me just support my teammate in getting the back spawn. They do get killed. I don't necessarily manage to get the trade, but what you'll see is these two enemies, this enemy died first. If I am not back here with my teammate when they fall, they're likely to just spawn in here, and we're then continuing to spawn out over towards the middle area of the map. So me just being back here, although I didn't necessarily trade my teammate, I've made sure that the enemy can't spawn here. So that's why it's not necessarily a case of filling lanes. It's a case of when you're trying to break a hill, you're trying to get to that spawn and then the objective. It's a bit easier to do on small hills like this. Red card's probably going to be a little bit more tricky. And again, I'm looking at the right, I'm looking at the left. I think one leaked through somehow, so that's on me. Bad solo queue teammate there. But this is a really nice play. So teammates just spawn in the back, so I'm happy there's no one watching the back. You can see the arrow, they're looking at the right, so I'm sort of happy that that's covered. I'm now in a position where I met with a teammate here. Now, this is a really good example of how you can use your teammates and play with your teammates when you're solo queuing. So I see this player here, they start to shoot me, and I go, you know what, let me just get back on the hill. And the reason I do that is because I'm fully aware I have this guy looking over me. So I draw that enemy in, teammate gets a kill. I don't even get an elim for that, even though it was a great assist. And now we're on the objective, just soaking the time, healing up, and my players push through. So that tiny little play where I've seen that teammate backed up, drew the player towards the objective, my teammate then had the cut cross, got the kill, is a really nice way of just, you need to know what your teammates are doing. And that's the biggest reason why solo queuing is difficult, because you don't have the comms. That's the whole reason why it's difficult. It's because you don't know what your teammates are doing. Now, really good read out of me there. I'm going to be breaking that one down quite quickly. So enemies is continuing to spawn in, so that player probably spawns in now-ish, and when he spawns in, look at where my teammates are positioned. I've got teammates pushed all the way around the right, I've got teammates sort of pushed around P3, so the most open spawn is likely to be the pinch. So I need to make sure, okay, teammates are all here, they probably may have one spawn behind me, so that's all I do. That's why I check that, just because I noticed that an enemy may have spawned on the old objective spawns. So my teammates have continued to have really good pressure towards this left-hand side, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to trust them to get that, I'm going to watch the front, and that's why we're looking at this. I'm trying to get off the hill because I don't feel like it's completely safe. Now, we've got a good amount of hill time there. Because of how open this objective is, I really don't want to just be sat on it while all my teammates are dead. My teammates have died. They've lost their gunfights. I've then backed up and thinking, all right, let me just get off the time. Let me just try and get a kill. Let me just try and make sure the enemies can't get on it. At the end of the day, the alternative to this is I'm on the hill, I die, the enemies get on the hill, and then they start getting time because I'm likely to die because I have no teammate support. Or I sit back and just try and make sure the enemies can't get on the hill, so neither of us are getting points. And that's the better thing in my opinion, rather than risking just being on the objective. So I'm the only one up at this point. Again, if I'm on the objective here, I'm definitely dying. Managed to get a kill. Unfortunately, I do get traded, so fair play to that player. And they do end up getting on the hill eventually. But we've got more pressure from the teammates. My teammates are now spawning in together. They've got applied pressure fully. I'm thinking, you know what? My teammates are all bashing out this front-hand side. Let me just be there with them. Let me just hit this out completely with them. Again, I'm really trying to be a difficult kill. So I get to this position. I notice there's an enemy around the left, but I notice my teammates are all on this left-hand side as well. So I'm thinking, okay, my teammates might be able to deal with that. Let me just let them deal with that. Let me see if I can kill the guy on time while I regain health. And then, yeah, I think I get tunnel visioned into that player, and we eventually fall. So I'm just trying to get the scrap here. I know how much emphasis my teammate has towards that other side of the map, so that's why I'm sort of watching the pinch. And this is a great time to use that health someone managed to acquire throughout the game. So I'm not able. I'm not able to get these kills because they're inside. So I may as well just play it really slowly and wait for the enemies to spawn. They spawn. I manage to get 2 free kills as a result. So if you know you can't get the kill, and you know there's a couple of people spawning in with a hellstorm, just wait a second. They're going to be spawning in, then you get info on the spawns as well. Now, this is an interesting one here. Because of where my teammates are positioned, it's a little bit different to our first setup on P4. This player here has put a lot of pressure towards the left side of the hill, so I'm thinking they're probably going to be spawning on the right. So I try and pick up this right-hand side here. And that pays off. I don't manage to get the kill. But as I'm doing that, I'm noticing that this middle now is completely open. So while that player is occupied, I'm trying to come back and benefit my teammates in the middle. They still need a little bit of help. And then I go back to the player who I was trying to kill in the first place. So again, I was trying to cover sort of 2 gaps there. And it's about putting the pressure on, coming back and pulling back. I'm hoping you can see what I've sort of done there to alleviate pressure from the right and mid left-hand side of the hill. Now, I believe they spawned in the back somehow. And unfortunately, I just misread that player. They must have been hiding in one of the... Yeah, they were. So good play out that player. But yeah, we now move on to P1. Now, P1's a little bit of a weird one when they're on the objective here. So my teammates have got a lot of focus towards this left-hand side. I've seen them spawn in behind me, so I sort of believed I was free. Again, this is about not really knowing the spawns properly because it's relatively new to the game, and this was a relatively old gameplay. But I've just seen this play here, so this is my immediate threat. I'm thinking, okay, I just need to make sure I'm staying alive from that front. Unfortunately, I do get pinched in the back. Maybe with a little bit more grind, on grind, I maybe would have understood that spawn a little bit better. And now we're in a position where we're trying to break the better hill. So I'm trying to get around to P2. I'm trying to get the P2 spawns, which is what I've been doing this whole time. As I can see, if I had teammates doing this, I would probably not be doing this. I'd probably be trying to focus on just hitting the front of the hill so that the enemies are distracted. But because I know my teammates are mostly just bashing the front of the hill over and over again, I need to be that player who fills the gap, not necessarily on the map physically, but in a role, I need to fill the gap. So my players, all the ones hitting the front from the front. Unfortunately, I do get red there. After however many times I'm flanking, that's going to happen. Now I'm thinking, you know what? They're probably reading that again. They're probably sat in a different corner. It's probably going to be difficult for me to pinch and get that. And I'm thinking, okay, teammates have just got a kill. If there's someone watching the back, which I probably think there is because of how I've just died there, we've got man advantage on P1. We can just hit P1 out and drive through it because we have that man advantage. So that's when it's ideal to not necessarily... I've ego child that was silly of me. Not necessarily split the lanes, but because of that pressure I've managed to put on P1 there and the pressure we put on P1, my teammates managed to get around the back. So again, that's a good example of them playing the gap, filling the gap in a role and pushing around the back. However, we continue to spawn out, and what they don't do is stay in the back there. They instead come to P1 and help out at P1, which probably isn't the right play to do. But again, you're solo queuing. You're not in control of what the teammates are doing. You're only in control of what you are doing. I think as long as you understand that, you're in for a better solo queue experience. So again, I'm trying to drive around this left-hand side here. I'm being relatively cautious because I have nobody to trade me. So I'm really trying not to die. So you'll see how cautiously I'm pushing up, checking the corners, trying to slide across, and my teammates managed to spawn in with me, which is pretty nice. So now we've got the decent back spawn. Got an AR in my hand here. I'm just trying to be really annoying here. So teammates spawned in, they picked up the levs. I know no one's on P2 because otherwise they would be there. So I'm just thinking, all right, let me just pick up the pinch, make sure no one's here. And while my teammates have got, someone was on the left, 2 are now in the P2, in the hill itself. I'm thinking, I just need to watch this right-hand side here.
Hostiles have the hardpoint.
And again, I'm not necessarily pushing to the hill. That's a really good kill from that player.
Hardpoint locked down.
And yeah, we continue to spawn back here in a favourable position. So that's now 4 down. I think they do end up spawning in the back, and because there's so little left time of the hill, sort of big tactics go out the window because you can just be a little bit more risky on the time. But we finished 37 and 13. Not necessarily massive numbers, but when you're filling the gaps and you're trying to pick up the quieter lanes, perhaps you do see less people, and that is simply going to happen. But I'm hoping you can see the value of, and that's fine. I got 100. I got really decent SR for that game. I think I got decent SR for that game anyway. We'll see. I've really got decent SR for that game, so it's not like I needed to come top. The game understood we won by a good margin. I did my bit, and I'm hoping you can see how filling the gaps and not knowing necessarily where your teammates are, where your enemies are, but also knowing where your teammates are is a vital part of being a successful solo queuer. It's all about that. It's all about seeing where your teammates are, playing off them, doing something they're not, and being really flexible in your gameplay, and allowing you to fill those gaps. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.